Welcome everybody. We will call to order the Grand Forks City Council meeting for Monday, January 3rd, 2022. Roll call please, Maureen.
Weigel.
Here.
Doppler. Weber.
Here.
Mock. Here. Kavami.
Here.
Sandy. Here. And Veen. We have a quorum.
Thank you. 1.2, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 1.3, Mayor's announcements. Just a couple of announcements. First of all, Christmas is over, so Christmas tree pickup season has begun. So starting today until January 14th, if you get the trees out, or you can drop them off at the compost site at Public Works facility, do not put them in plastic bags for the, what they call it, the grinding purposes. So if you get them, set them out, not in the plastic bags. If you use that, take them out, take them off when they're on the curb. I want to thank Abdira Sagdwali with the NAIC. They brought a group of UND students over the city for a conversation and a tour here, and thank Haley too for taking them through and talking about some intern possibilities. It was a group of about 15 foreign exchange students that were in the graduate school at UND in petroleum engineering and the master's program for that. So really, definitely an interesting group of people and really intelligent group, so that was a good time. And then we had the public transit open house. I was able to get over there on the 23rd. I think anytime you get a chance to thank them and what they've been doing this last year with helping out with the public schools, and it's just, it's been a heavy lift and it continues today, so it's still something we need to work on. But anytime you get a chance to thank them for the long hours and the how they've had to run their operations in the meantime, it's just been a challenge. So any chance you get, we want to thank them, so anybody else gets a chance, do the same, please. That's all I've got for announcements. So 2 awards presentations, appointments, and proclamations.
COVID-19.
Mr. Dulitz, that's you, sir.
Mayor Potensky, members of the council, I'm Michael Dulitz with Grand Forks Public Health here to do a COVID update. So it's been a relatively short amount of time since the last time I was here, but I thought it was really important that I come back here because we have seen an increase in the overall number of cases, a pretty sharp increase in the overall number of cases in Grand Forks community over the past a week and a half or so. You'll see on here that we've had almost a doubling in our percent positivity. Our tests have stayed relatively high considering the holiday, and we've seen an increase in our cases overall. So I'll go into a little bit more detail there. So what we're seeing right now is something that we're seeing across the state. We're seeing a pretty sharp rise in the overall number of COVID cases. From the information I've been getting from the state, we are seeing, there's a larger proportion of Omicron, it sounds like, more on the eastern side of the state than the western side, but it is rapidly kind of getting a foothold in the tests that they are sampling within North Dakota, which is also being carried out. And what we're seeing is very similar increases in cases to a lot of places where there have been Omicron outbreaks. The increase in percent positivity is best seen in Cass County, where they've had an increase to almost 25% positivity. And Grand Forks County is at that about 12% mark compared to, well below 10% on December 1st of last year now. We've also been seeing an increase in the cases in the in age groups that we haven't been seeing a lot in, particularly the 20 to 29 age group, which is a little bit remarkable considering we are on a college break right now. We're also seeing in the 30 to 39 age group, and across the line there's a fair case burden overall. So when we compare what we're seeing in Grand Forks County and within the state of North Dakota to what we're seeing in other places where they either have ongoing Omicron outbreaks or they've been getting through an Omicron outbreak, South Africa, which is the green line on the bottom, they were kind of the first ones. Obviously, there was big news about South Africa and the Omicron outbreak, but they look just like a blip compared to what we're seeing in the UK, France, United States, and Canada as far as the increase in cases. Fortunately, you've probably heard this in the news, there's been a little bit of a decoupling of the cases and the hospitalizations. So what they're saying is Omicron may be a less severe variant in a lot of people, which is a good thing because of how fast it's moving. So Omicron's moving in really quick, but and it's infecting a lot of people. Unfortunately, even though we're seeing a fewer percentage of cases getting hospitalized, it's still causing a pretty hefty increase in the overall hospitalizations, which does still put a burden on the healthcare system. That burden remains to be seen in Grand Forks County, where we still have seen a relative decrease in the number of overall COVID cases that are hospitalized over the holidays. And final piece, looking at the vaccination rate, we still are making a little bit of progress on that vaccination rate, particularly in those younger age groups, as well as boosters. They have reiterated multiple times boosters are a very good step to take to help improve your protections against Omicron. So to help wrap it up, just a reminder of some of the services we have in the community and some of the steps that can be taken to reduce your COVID risk. So getting up to date on COVID vaccination, we keep expanding the groups that are eligible for boosters, as well as reducing the time between your primary vaccine series, so your first 2 doses, and that subsequent follow-up dose that's been reduced down to 5 months, as well as we're reducing the ages down. The 12 to 15 age group are now able to get boosters if it's time. We still have masks available, N95 masks available at the Public Health Department. They are still the gold standard, so if you want to improve your protection against Omicron, having a N95 mask that's well-fitting is going to provide you an extra layer of protection. So we do offer those at no cost through Public Health, and we have more coming this week, but we have them available in our lobby. Reducing transmissible moments, social distancing, we've been hearing this for almost 2 years now. Social distancing still is beneficial, as well as mask wear. Frequent testing can be considered, particularly with the increase in home-based testing. The antigen testing that we're seeing right now is really effective in detecting Omicron, particularly if it's done on a serial basis. So, for instance, you can get a 2-pack of Binax Now tests, the same ones that we use at the UND testing site. You can get those for $14 at like a Walmart or Sam's Club. And then if you are sick with COVID, consider early treatment. The monoclonal antibodies are taking a step back with Omicron because they are finding they aren't as effective, but the new antivirals are showing to be relatively effective against Omicron. So early treatment can help prevent hospitalization. So, and the absolute lowest thing that we can do to help prevention-wise on helping prevent a huge burden on our hospitals, early treatment is still something that is available. So our bottom line, we have seen that reduction in hospitalizations, but we've also been seeing an increase overall in the number of cases in Grand Forks County. That number is going to at least go up tomorrow based off of what I've been seeing with COVID data for today, and I would expect that to probably carry out at least for the next couple of days. And the percent positivity increase is also concerning because we're staying relatively static in the number of tests, but more of those tests are coming positive. The next few weeks are going to be really telling for us on what this does for our community if we see an increase in hospitalizations or deaths. Fortunately, it sounds like Omicron is kind of more of a storm system than something that's lasting long term. So a lot of, for instance, some experts are saying that we may even see February for a reduction in the overall cases and kind of be back at our normal caseload. So hopefully this is a brief stop with the Omicron variant, but it certainly is concerning the increase that we've seen on such short notice. With that, I am open to any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Dulitz. Any question for Mr. Dulitz? I would also say, keep in mind we're in constant contact with Altru and getting updates constantly on what their capacity and what they're looking like over there. But Mr. Weber, anybody online have any questions for Mr. Dulitz tonight?
If I may, yes, Mr. Mayor.
Please.
Mr. Dulitz, the N95 masks that are being recommended now, they're not a permanent mask. I'm not going to wash those and reuse them, but neither are they a one and done. Is that correct? How many times, how long can I use an N95 mask? I've been hearing up to 40 hours of use. Is that consistent with your understanding?
Councilman Weber, in general, you can use an N95 mask until there's a reason to not use it, whether it's you'll become soiled or something like that. So it really depends on how well you're taking care of the mask, what situations you're using it in, if you can still breathe well in it. Our packages that we provide are 5 masks, so that would hold you over for a fair amount of time, especially if you're running it for 40 hours like you had mentioned.
Yeah, that's a great service. Thanks. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Weber. All right.
Mayor, I have one quick question.
Yeah, Mr. Dean, please.
One question on the COVID testing that you're doing. You talked about different forms of treatment based on which strain. Are they determining which strain when they do their testing?
Councilman Bean, the state actually determines the strain in a subset of tests, so it's usually a random sample where they actually determine the strain, and then based off of that, they look at what the overall number of cases are and what strain they are for the community. So if you were one of the randomly selected people and you were positive, you wouldn't necessarily always know if you were if you had Omicron versus something else. With Omicron, though, there is some different ways that it can run a test and give a better idea if it's Omicron or not, but I don't know how often they're using that, that method.
Thank you. Any follow-up, Mr. Veen?
Nope, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Dulitz. Appreciate your work as always.
Thank you.
All right, moving on to 3 public hearings and second reading of ordinances. Look like there are none, so we'll go to 4 action items. We're just going to go through all of them tonight since these haven't gone through the committee of the whole. So you just want to start at the top, Maureen.
Yeah, we sure will. 4.0, budget amendment for the health department.
I think, Mr. Berard, we only have one. That's the health one tonight. Is that correct on the budget amendments? All right, Mr. Berard, please. Bernard.
Move approval.
We've got a motion to approve. Do we have a second? We've got a second. I know you just wanted to make one quick comment. If you want to make you did mentioned what this is going to. If you want to make that quick comment we talked about earlier, it'd be great.
Thank you, Mayor Buchansky. Members of the council, we have a strategic partnership with Altru and UND to provide a great service for our community, great access to testing. In doing so, we have it open at the Pollard Center Monday through Friday, 7 to 11. We have great testing rates per capita in our part of the state. Altru stepping up and doing the testing in-house has provided a cheaper service to us. It comes back a lot faster. We get the results out to people so they know when to stay home and reduce that disease transmission. It helps with Canadians who want to come down and all of the economic things that we want to keep things running here in our town. We just really appreciate the partnership that they've given to us there. And besides that, also the local testing alleviates pressure on the state lab and elsewhere so that all across the state this is a benefit. So again, our appreciation to Altru and UND for this testing service.
Thank you. And this is just 100% reimbursed by FEMA, so it's no cost to the city. Any further comments? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously.
4.1, application for exemption of improvements to residential and commercial properties.
Thank you. Mr. Hodek, please.
Thank you, Mayor and members of the council. Very briefly, I just wanted to go through the remodel exemption applications that you have before you. You'll see these about 6 or 7 times a year. We generally take them right to the city council. The application process is such that we process all of the building permits in our office. If we see a project that we think would qualify for the remodel exemption, we proactively mail out an application to the property owner. If it gets returned to us, the appraiser that works on that property will review it, return it to me. I batch them up together like this, bring it to the city council. By state law, each one of these applications has to be presented to the city council. That's why we forego the committee of the whole and bring them right to the council. It's more of about complying with state law. Just for the record, in 2021, just so you know, We sent out 177 remodel applications, and we had 120 returned to us, for your information. So I would ask that you approve these remodel exemptions, and I would like to, moving forward, continue with our process of bringing these right to the council if there's no objection to that.
Thank you, Mr. Hodak. Comments or motions? Got a motion approved from Councilmember Kavami, second from President Sandy. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
4.2, approval of designated depositories.
Mr., I always say this, Vattenstall, how do we pronounce it correctly?
Fonstall, Mayor.
Fonstall, there we go. Mike, there we go.
Mike. Yeah, Mayor Buczynski and President Sandy and members of the council. Tonight I have the biannual approval of the list of designated depositories for the city, for city funds. So basically the list of banks that we do business with. The list is the same as a couple years ago when I brought this forward, and also a couple years when I brought this forward, I had mentioned that we were in the process of going through requests for proposals for banking services. Unfortunately, right after we went through interview process with some of the banks, COVID hit, so not only were we working remote, but the interest rate market tanked. So we just put a pause on that process at that time. Just waited till the dust settles here. So we'll look in the next couple months to go through the whole process again, and hopefully be something on the radar in the next handful of months here that will go off for banking services again. So tonight, just looking for approval of the current list of banks that we do business with, and I'll answer any questions.
Thank you. Motion or comment? Got a motion to approve from President Sandy, second from Mr. Weigel. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Again, that's approved unanimously. Thank you, sir.
4.3, reappointment to the 911 Authority Board, Danny Weigel.
Anyone got a problem with Danny being on the 911 board again?
I do.
Oh, you can vote against yourself then. We got a motion to say, I don't think we're going to need you, Mr. Feland. Any further comment?
I just want to, thanks to Mr. Weigel for all he's done. He's well accepted. So the other thing I just want to mention, Chief Nelson is stepping aside as the board chair, and our fire chief, Lorenz, is coming into place. So I just want to thank Chief Nelson, and then also thank Chief Lorenz for stepping up into that leadership. And I appreciate, they all appreciate Councilmember Weigel being part of that team.
Thank you. All right, any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously.
4.4 is a bid award for bid 2021-32 for the Grand Forks Regional Bomb Squad EOD robot.
Chief, former chair of the 911 Authority Board, please.
Mayor Buczynski, members of the council, what you have before you is a staff report indicating a bid process that we had for a replacement for one of our bomb robots. Bids were placed out, and only one bid was returned. This is all DES funding. There is no match from the city. So we're asking for approval to accept the grant and purchase in the amount of $351,562. I know that's an ouch, but part of that comes with that is the Grand Forks Bomb Team is a regional FBI certified bomb team with a 16 county response area. So part of working through that response is that they're able to fund any hardware that we need to keep the citizens of our region safe.
All right, well, thank you, Chief. We've got all the way to 4.4, and we still haven't spent any money, so I appreciate that. Any questions for the Chief? A motion to approve from Kavami, second from Vice President Mock. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Motion carries.
Thank you.
And 4.5 is a bid award for bid 2021-31, the 2022 chemicals for the water wastewater treatment.
All right, Mr. Getz, looks like you got the next two.
Yes, I do, Mayor. Thank you. I apologize. I will be spending money.
Yeah, well, we got at least this far.
Yes, definitely. Again, looking for approval for the 2022 bids for chemical. This year it's been a tough year. As you can see, we have had some increases in chemical. Our citric acid and chlorine are two of the big ones. 376% increase. Chlorine was 163% increase. Again, my vendors are saying they're expecting one more increase going into 2022, which we're locked in, so we're good. But Hopefully, going into '23, we're going to be sitting a little bit better. But probably going to be back at the end of the year looking for a budget amendment, looking for a few extra dollars for chemicals this year. So, but other than that, we're doing well. We're going to continue to do our best to optimize treatment, save as much money as we possibly can. So, and then the other one is just the sole source chemical bid. We have some chemicals that are sole sourced through Suez, and we buy direct. So.
Okay, that's item 4.6 you're talking about?
Correct, on
Okay.
4.6.
Well, let's start with 4.5. Do we have any questions for Mr. Getz related to item 4.5?
Move approval.
These days. All right, we'll give Ken the motion, and we'll give President Sandy, or Mr. Veen the motion, President Sandy the second. Yeah, that's inflation. It's hitting
It is.
us. Supply chains.
That is basically what I've been hearing from the vendors. It's supply chain, and they just can't get it. But they have promised me chemicals, so it's just that we're going to be paying a little bit more.
And I mean, as far as where we draw water, drawing from the Red Lake River versus the Red River, that can definitely help some of the chemical use. But
Definitely.
sounds good. Any further comment? All right, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously, and we'll move right on to 4.6, if you want to read it in, Maureen.
4.6 is the 2022 sole source chemicals for the regional water treatment plant.
Thank you. If you get a motion on that one as well. Got a motion from Mr. Weigel. Get a second from Mr. Kwame. Any comment? Seeing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. 4.6, that motion carries unanimously.
4.7, preliminary engineering reimbursement agreement with the NDDOT for Project 8465, the regional traffic signal rehab project.
Thank you, Mr. Grasser. This is pretty exciting to see the number of lights that are get rehabbed. We're all pretty excited, so why don't you share the good news?
And we're glad somebody besides engineers get excited about some of that. But this is a pretty standard form of agreement with the DOT where anytime we're using regional funds, this is for a 2025 project rehabbing 20 traffic signals on the regional program. Again, saving some money. Our cost share on these are either 0% or 10%, depending upon the street system. So we're recommending approval.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Grasser, or comments, or motions?
Move approval.
Got a motion approved from Kavami, second from Mr. Veen. Further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. The motion carries unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Grasser.
4.8, Public Works Operations Landfill Compactor Warranty.
All right, Ms. Lipsch, are you going to you're going to cost us money tonight? I think just a little bit, it sounds like, but
I am.
please.
Mayor Baczynski, members of council, I'm here to present the request for the warranty for the currently received landfill compactor. That was not included on the bid. In the future, you will see that item included on any bids that we do. And it also includes the associated budget amendment for that purchase of a 5-year, 10,000-hour warranty.
Sounds good. Any questions or comments for Ms. Lipsch? All right, we got a motion approved from President Sandy, second from Vice President Mock. Any further comment? Seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you.
4.9 is the bid award for bid 2021-35 for the 2022 water meter bid summary.
Well, Mr. Hanson, are we going to hear increased costs on this one as well?
Not as bad. Mayor
please.
Baczynski, members of council, so I'm here to ask you to approve the annual water meter bid. Brought this bid to you earlier than usual because we're expecting some really long lead times on these parts from our suppliers. The transmitters, unfortunately, like everything else, the chips are made in China, so they're looking at 20 plus weeks to get delivery, where normally we see 4 to 6 weeks. But they do tell us we can get them. As far as the increase, it wasn't nearly as drastic as the chemicals. We saw anywhere from 15 to 25% depending on the meter size. But for your average home in Grand Forks, you'll see about an $80 increase on residential water meters from 2022 to 2021. But with that said, we would like to ask you to approve the low bid to Badger Meter for $49,523 for meters and $82,000 for transmitters from Dutton Linus and Company.
Thank you, Mr. Hassan. Any motions, comments, please, council? Got a motion to approve from Vice President Mock and a second from Mr. Weigel. Seeing no further comment, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you, sir. That's all for action items. It looks like there is no information items. We'll open up the citizen comment period. I recognize everyone's faces, so it doesn't look like that. We'll close that period. On to approval of minutes and bills.
7.1 is the vendors list and engineers estimate as is presented.
Get a motion to approve the bills. We got a motion from President Sandy, second from Mr. Kavami. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. That motion is approved. Vendor list is approved. Moving on. Mr. Feland, City Administrator comments.
Mayor Buchansky and members of the City Council, just wanted to highlight 3 projects that we plan to bring early in this year. As you know, we're working on a development agreement with Mr. Gosted regarding the Fufang Group corn mill, and so it's still in their hands. They haven't provided any response, but we are targeting, we are hoping to bring it to the 10th, the committee of the whole, but likely that won't happen, but we likely will bring something to you on the 18th, which would be Monday's a holiday, so we'll be on Tuesday. So we anticipate having that development agreement in front of you, at least for a summary review at that point in time. So that's the date we're targeting on that. As part of both the Fufang Group development agreement and also the Olivan, there is a payment of low taxes on both of those. We are anticipating having our local government advisory committee meeting next week, Wednesday, in anticipation of that to get that process going. And as you know, that takes about 60 days from beginning to end. So we will start that process next week in anticipation of that development agreement coming by with Fufang. And then Olivan, obviously, they want to get going with construction yet this spring too. So we'll kick that off and then likely bring that to the 18th meeting too to set the public hearing based upon some recommendations at that local government group. So those 2 will be coming in the next series. The other thing, we are working on some developments. And one of the first in developments is putting in the wastewater lift station. So we've talked about south end development and needing additional wastewater pump stations. We've talked about with this Fufang project will be an additional wastewater lift station, but we'll probably come to speak with you in January or February on getting this first in infrastructure, mainly with residential. And so we are concerned about the diminishing lots that we have, and we do need to move forward not only in the south end, but we're also trying to encourage some west development too that will all require first in infrastructure. So that will be coming your way in advance of asking you to approve some bids in those areas. So really development focused here in January and February, and hopefully with a great construction season this summer. So thanks, Mayor and City Council.
Thank you, Mr. Phelan, for that. Legac, Wednesday the 12th, what was the time on that one?
That's at 5 o'clock.
5 o'clock, that'll be here, just perfect. Thank you. We will move on to Mayor and Council member comments. Start with you, Mr. Weigel. Any comments this evening?
No, thank you.
All right, Mr. Weber, any comments?
No, thank you. No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Mr. Kavami?
No, thank you.
Mr. Veen?
No, thank you.
Vice President Mock? President Sandy?
Congratulations to all the UND grads from a few weeks ago, and Happy New Year, certainly.
All right, with that, I'll keep it short. Hope everyone had a great and safe holiday season. A lot of work to be done in 2022, but I think it's going to be a great year. So thank you, everybody, and have a good night.